Hey guys, welcome to I guess the first episode of my devlog. Yeah, cool. So I'll introduce myself. I'm David. I'm a junior programmer here at Holding the Sleeves. I just, walking while I walk with the character, it makes you think that I'm trying to be like. I'm not trying to be like him talking. I thought it'd be kind of cinematic to be like, oh, he's walking as we introduce. Yeah, but it just looks a bit weird. So anyway, we'll go, but we'll change it up. So yeah, I'm a junior programmer here at Holding the Sleeve. For those of you that don't know, we're currently making a video game. Not just any video game. It's Storror Parkour Pro, which is the first like true parkour video game. Um, for a parkour group called Storror, which is the biggest parkour group in the world. They're absolutely massive. A huge following, and yeah, we've tasked us with making a really cool game that's true to the parkour community and authentic to parkour itself. And what we kind of wanted to do here, speaking to Dado, who's the head developer, the lead guy, we just kind of thought it'd be cool to do a sort of dev series to give you a bit of an insight into just like development here at on the sleeve. It'll be uncut and raw, so you'll see all the failures, all the messes up, all the research, and it will be quite technical, covering all the code. So any aspiring developers who are like me and still need to learn loads, it might be useful to you too. Because yeah, we're here to share the knowledge, and yeah, grow together. So yeah, this is episode one where I make a first person toggle, which if we have a look here, just does that. It's really not much. The video is about 40 minutes long, which I know you're thinking it literally does that. 40 minutes, it's a bit bad, but yeah, like I explain it while I go through, so it's a bit longer. So because I'm trying to like vocalize my vocalize. I don't know, like speak my thought processes. So, but yeah, well, we'll get straight into it and look out for more episodes. I plan to be pretty active with it. And just all my little tasks, record it and take you guys through it. So yeah. Hey guys. Welcome to a little Unreal C++ game dev. I say day in the life, devlog, something like that. Basically, one of the tasks I had for today was to create a first-person toggle um, between our third-person camera and first-person camera, so we can get different viewports when playing the character. And it's a pretty simple task, but I thought I'd at least take you through it while I'm doing it to just give you an insight onto the coding I do and just to get a feel for what it's like to be a dev. I haven't done this before. I've not done it at all, so you'll be with me for all the mistakes and all that. So fingers crossed. Hopefully there's no mistakes, but there probably will be. But yeah, cool. Let's get into it. So first things first, we need to let's build our current thing and let's run into Unreal. Um, Now we need to create a camera that's going to be our first person camera. We have a third person camera set up already, but we want the first person camera to be set up so that when we press a button or we toggle into it, um, uh, we can uh, we can be in first person view. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a component here. It's going to be a camera component. I'm going to call this first person camera. Now, as you can see here, that's the third person. The first person camera here is spawned in the middle. We want this, however, to be in a position in which it's realistic, so around the head area. From games and playing games before, I've always found like somewhere the neck is more realistic because you encompass more the hands. But yeah, so we're gonna drag this into the mesh component, so it's a child of that, and then we're actually gonna set here the parent to be the head. And this means it's going to inherit all the different location and rotational values of the head because that it's going to inherit them because it's a child of the head parent. So as you see here, the camera now moves as the head moves because it's attached to it, basically. However, obviously, this camera is very wonky and not correct. So what we want to do here is we're going to rotate this. We're going to rotate it on this axis here. What's this value here? 89. That is not correct. Okay, that's more like it. What's this? 89 point. Let's copy that. Copy that. Paste that in here. That's still not correct. Copy this. Minus paste. There we go. Okay, there we go. So now we have a pretty good rotational value. It seems pretty correct. But now we want to move it to where on the body that we want it to be, which we want it to be around the head neck area. So if I slide this, okay, that moves it up and down. Okay, yeah, because it moves it on there. Okay, so that seems about all right. So we'll leave that 0 for now. And here, this is going to move it forward and backwards, and that left and right. Yeah, because it's moving on the Z scale. So, but yeah, so we'll move it forward and backwards here. We want it round about there. If he wants to look up, yeah, round about there. Move it across a bit. That seems somewhat okay. That's centered at the origin there, so that should be alright. I'm going to actually bring this a little bit forward, maybe like 9. One more. Yeah, because what we don't want is when we look through the camera to see any of the mesh, because it is attached, but we don't want to be able to see any of the mesh. We want to be able to see the body and all that, but we don't want to see the face from inside, because that might not be the best view of the world. But yeah, so that is the camera position pretty much set up, and as you can see, it follows the head. So that's that done. I always like to save more stuff as I go along. So okay, cool. So we have our first person camera set up. We have the component set up in the blueprint. Our blueprint graph is empty because we do everything in C++. Okay, so now that's done, we're going to go into our project settings, and we need to create a toggle on an input for now. And this toggle is going to allow us to switch into the first person mode. So we'll call it FP toggle. And this will mean it will toggle into the first person mode whenever this action is pressed. You can do it by axis to determine like a scale of X and Y, but we just want, when you press a certain button, we toggle into first person. So for this button, we'll say right, we'll go RB if you're playing on Xbox, so that'll be right shoulder. So when the right shoulder is pressed, we'll now toggle, we'll do this action here, which is going to be FP toggle. Okay, cool. So I'm thinking that should be all we need to do in here. Let's quickly save all, and now we're going to go into some scripting. Okay, what do I need to do now? Okay, so we need to create the bind action here. So, well, yeah, let's create a function first. We're going to create a function that is our FP toggle, and we're going to have it protected because we want children of this class to be able to access it, but only that, nothing. You have to be a character blueprint to be able to access the toggle function method. So yeah, so we'll do it in here. I will say void because we're not returning anything from the toggle. If we say the toggle, we want it to return true if the toggle activated, we'd say bool and then the function name, but because we just simply want the function to just toggle it on or off, and then that's it, we're just going to say void, so return nothing, FP toggle. And yeah, okay, so we now have a function FP toggle, and we declare this in the header class, and the header class is basically where you declare all your functions and your variables and your objects and instances, and then your C++ is where you write all their functionality in code, C++ file. So yeah, this is sort of like the definition, and this is like the functionality. This is where we actually say, okay, what is each of these going to do, and when are we going to use them? Okay, so we have our FP toggle function that we've declared in our header class. Now, what we want to do is we want to create a bind action here, so that when this is pressed, we want to call that FP toggle function. So I'm actually just going to copy this code here because it saves me some time. Basically, all this does is it calls the bind action, and this binds the action of this from the action list we set up in Unreal here in our project settings. as you see in our input section, we had a loads of different actions, and it binds it to one of these names. So we have the name here, FP toggle. So we want to bind the action FP toggle, and when this is pressed, input event pressed, on this object for this character, we want to call the ASPP character, which is this character here, this function, and the function that we've just made is going to be FP toggle, as you can see there. There it is. So now when it's, so what we've done here is we said, okay, when we bind the action, oh, that's incorrect, FP toggle, we're going to bind it to input event pressed. So when that's pressed, we're going to call this function FP toggle. Okay, cool. Now we want to create the function FP toggle that's going to be called when the method that's going to be called when that button's pressed. So if we go here, yeah, that goes into some struct stuff. So Christmas place. Okay, so we'll say void ASPP character FP toggle. So here in this function, what do we want to do? Okay, so we want to do a couple of things. We want to first, okay, that's fine. This is good. Yeah, actually, okay, perfect. So this function FP toggle here, we have it now. It's set up. It's going to call this function when we press the button, but obviously there's nothing in here, so it doesn't do anything. But before we can do anything, there's a couple of things we need to get first. We're gonna need to. I'm also thinking this through as well while I'm while I'm trying to explain it to you guys. So this is more so going on in my head as well. So 2 seconds. Okay, doorbell rang, but yeah, we're back. Where was I? Okay, this happens when you get distractions. Okay, so yeah, we need a couple things. So we need to bind the function. Oh, okay, yeah. So we need to get the camera. The camera. That's it. So we need to get the camera, the first person and third person camera. And what we're going to do is, yeah, that works. We're going to set them to active. I should run up the stairs. I'll catch my breath. Whew. Sorry, I sprinted. Wow. I don't know why I did that. I could have just paused them. Anyway, okay, back to what we're doing. So, yeah. So we're gonna set the first person camera that we've set up to be the active camera when this toggle is pressed, and then we're going to set sort of deactivate the third person camera when the toggle is pressed as well. Yeah, so what we need to do first is get those cameras, and we need to get those components. Now we can't just say, because this is in C++ and this is Blueprint, we need to basically instantiate and get the components from the Blueprint script that have been created when this is run in the editor at runtime. So we need to get those camera components from runtime. So what we've done here, we've done something similar where we get active camera, where we've gotten the active camera that is currently the character is currently using, but we're going to set up a new one, and we're just going to start right off new script again. So we're going to have here a U camera component, and we're going to create a reference to it. This is what the function, the method, is going to return. It's going to return a reference, which is done. So we say of type camera component, which is a camera component that we created in the Blueprint, as you know. And this little asterisk here means that we're going to return a reference, because we don't actually want the object itself, but we want a reference to the object, because, and we'll show later where we actually want to get the object itself. Okay, is that right? Yeah, yeah. We want a reference here, and so then we want an ASPP character, which is obviously this class again, and then we want to have our function name, and we'll say get first person camera. This can now also be const, and what const does, it basically makes this function constant. It means that it shouldn't change. This isn't going to change. Yeah, this is just going to stay as it is. Nothing should change it. Nothing should affect it, and it shouldn't affect anything. It's just simply returning something. So a lot of getter methods, they simply get a value, are constant or const because they don't change anything. A lot of setter methods are not const because they change things and they can change themselves. So this, because nothing changes and we're just reading values as of read only, this is a const. Now the reason why this is red is because we haven't defined it in our header file. So here, where should we, oh yeah, okay. We're going to do this in protected as well. We're going to say a U camera component, reference again because that's the type of the function that we're going to get first person camera const, because it's a constant function. And while we're here as well, we're going to do the same for the third person camera, because I think we're going to need that as well, I believe, because obviously because we're going to have to set one active and one, well, I don't want to say deactive, but deactivate the other when it is. So we're going to have to get references to both those components in the blueprint as well. So okay, so we have the two functions to get our first person camera and our third person camera. So what we're going to do is, in our get first person camera here, so here we're going to, so this is how we create a reference to a blueprint in to a component in from our blueprints, and we expose it to C++. So I'll go through each bit. So this T array, so this is of type array, and we're going to get array because what we're going to do is there could be multiple references of a component, so we can have different components. We can have multiple first person cameras, we can have multiple third person cameras. So when we're referencing a certain component, we're going to return an array of them, so all the different components that are available. So that's why it's going to be an array. So we're going to say U camera component, and it's going to be a reference as well, because we don't actually want the object itself, but we just want a reference to it. And we're going to say FP camera. So we're going to reference and get, that's going to be the array components of all the FP cameras. And then we're going to use get components, which is a method in the C++ blueprint. So we're going to get all the components of type U camera component. And then we're going to say FP camera. Here we go. So as you can see here, we've got our type array. We're going to get these components of type that are the FP camera. Here we go. And then this function is going to then return FP camera. Oh yes, sorry, FP camera square bracket 0, because like we said, this is an array. These are all the different cameras in our viewport or in our editor, and so we're going to return the index 0, which is the first item in the array. But in this case, because we only have one camera, we're just going to return the first item, and that'll be the only camera if there is one exists. If there's no camera, this will just return null, because index 0, there's nothing. Yeah, 1 second, someone is deciding to lawnmower dead outside the one time I decide to record. Okay, well, that's a quick quiet. It's kind of annoying, but you just can't find any peaceful time to code. It's like someone's at the door, someone's lawn mowing, you know what I mean? Someone's dog is going mad. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It's the headphones are a blessing. Anyway, so we basically want to do this again for the third person camera, so we can get that as well. So we're just going to copy that. I want to change that to get third person camera, get third person camera, get third person camera. I'm going to return the third person camera. I hope what I've said and explained so far makes sense. It does in my head, which that's really all that matters, but I am also trying to do it so that you guys kind of understand my logic and workflow, and how I think through problems. So yeah, okay, cool. So we've got the third person camera, we've got the first person camera. Now we have both cameras. We then want to set them active in the toggle. Yeah, that's the one. Okay, so now in the toggle method, we want to set the first person camera to be active, and the third person camera to be deactive. So here, there we go. That's what I'm not done. Thank God. What I haven't done is I haven't checked first if it's active or not. So I haven't checked if this toggle already exists, because you got to think, like, if we press the toggle, if I've already pressed the toggle, I'm in first person. So if I just set it to first person, what if I'm already in first person? You know, it can't just set it again to first person. That it needs to toggle out of first person. And rather than having a first person toggle, a third person toggle, and then disabling this if blah blah blah, we just have this toggle that sets in and out and then just changes which one's active. So we need to create a Boolean variable. I'm going to do this in private because this variable shouldn't really be accessed anywhere other than this function, because for this method, because that's the only place it's going to be used, and we don't want any other classes or anything like that so to use it. So we're going to make a private variable, and this is going to be a bool, and then we're going to say first person enabled. What am I doing? And we're going to have it by default is false, because this could be anything, whether or not you want first person to be on in the first place. No. By default it's false because we spawn in third person. We want our characters to start in third person, and we're a third person game, and the first person is the toggle. So by default this needs to be false. So this is false by default. Okay, we have this boolean here. Now in our SPP character blueprint, what we now want to do is say if the first person toggle, first person enabled, if this is equal to false, if first person enabled, so that basically means if that's true, because basically it's like if true do this. So if this is true, here we're going here we're going to get the first person camera, and we're going to set no, because that gets that just gets the reference to the first person camera. So we need to create the variable first person camera, a local variable that stores that is the of type, that this is whatever type. This auto here, basically this is a bit of a cheat code, I can't lie, it's really cool, but basically auto is like it automatically does the type necessary in this for depending on what this is. So whatever this type is and requires, it will automatically make this variable of that type. So it's like pretty cool cheat code. So yeah, so we want to get the first person camera. So if this is enabled, we want to get the first person camera and get the third person camera. So yeah, if that's true, we're going to get the first person camera and third person camera, and then we want to say first person camera set active. Oh yeah, I've not done this. Set active, and then we'll say FP enabled. This seems a bit redundant, using this twice. Because I'm saying here, if this is true, set that to that. But then I'm like, couldn't I? You know what we're going to do? We're going to get rid of this if. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to get rid of this if because it's actually not efficient. Because we're saying if this value is true, set this value to this value. But well, this value should just change depending on whether this is true or false. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a flip-flop. That's what we're going to do. And yeah, we're going to set up a flip-flop. And a flip-flop basically switches between two states based on the value. And the way you set up a flip-flop is this. The logic for it will be this. Not. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Is that right? If first person enabled equals the opposite of first person. Yeah, that's cool. So basically, what this is doing, it's setting this value, the first person enabled, to the opposite of whatever value it is. It previously was. So it's switching states. So whenever this is done, this function is called, it will switch the state. So that's why it's a flip flop. So it's like, oh, it's pressed, flip states, pressed, flip states. So when this starts at false, this toggle happens. This is going to turn into true. When this toggle happens again, if this is true, this is going to turn it into false. So it just keep flipping states depending on when the toggle's right. So that covers the toggle perfectly, and that's so much better. So all that if statement and all that nonsense is literally done in one line of code. Look at that, it's so much more efficient. Okay, yeah. So now we want to say, now we have the first person label stuff done. Now we want to get auto first. I could have just copied and pasted. all that before, but you know, I'm so efficient with my code. Yep. Auto first. Person camera equals get person camera. Okay. Get first person camera, get third person camera. And then we have our flip flop. Now we want to do the set actives. So we're going to say first person camera set active FP enabled. Perfect. And third person camera. I'm going to explain this in a second. I just want to get it out before I lose it. Not FP enabled. Yeah. Okay. So what we've done here is the first person. So we've gotten our reference to our cameras, to the first person camera component and the third person camera component. And in here we've set it active. So this is the camera that's now active that we want the user to view from. Is this camera active? And this is a boolean. Is it active, yes or no? And this is going to be depending on whether or not the first person enabled is true on the toggle, on the flip flop. So here, as we start off as false, we'll just run through a use case. We start off as false. We then hit the toggle. This will become not false, so true. Therefore, the first person camera set active is true, and the third person set active is false. Okay. Now we're true in our first person enabled. We press the toggle again. This will then become not true, false. We no longer want to set the first person camera active because this is now false. This is now false. And then this has become not false, so it becomes true. So that is the code for the flip flop. I hope that made sense. I can't really be asked to go through it again, so I'm just gonna keep going. Is that it? Is that all I need? I'm trying to think if I need more. No. Okay. No, seems like it. Yeah. That should work. So this F person toggle is called on the F person toggle press. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Okay, that should work. They want to build, which is 12.9. Oh. Oh, it's because that's running. Stop and build. Hopefully no errors. No errors. Too good. Okay. Let's load that up. I really hope this works. I'm not really in the mood to debug stuff right now. Okay, so simulate here. So that works. Oh, yes. Oh. Okay, so it works. Okay, that's a bit annoying. Oh, wow. Oh, I see. So the camera is moving. Okay, no, that works how I've done it. That makes sense. So because we attach the camera to the head, it basically follows, which is kind of cool. I can't lie to you. What the? Oh, and I'm actually able to move, and as you can see, I'm actually moving, and the cameras just follow the head. So I mean, if you want like a roller coaster ride or something like that, would be the perfect way to toggle between first person because you'd experience all the movement. But this is a bit annoying. You don't really want this. Now instead of making this static, because you don't want that either. We want this to stay attached to the head. What we want is then this to then control how we rotate and yaw, roll left, right, yaw, left. Okay, yeah. So we want this to become our controller rotator. So, okay, that's easy. All we need to do in the toggle is say Okay, yeah. We just basically need to say that in order to control the rotational value, we need to have the controller do it rather than the mesh. So we'll say this controller rotate. Is there a variable for control? There must be. Ah, here we go. This is it. Oh, it's perfect. So we want to say use the controller rotation your pitch up and down. I think we just need your. That's left right. Yeah, that should be yeah. So I just think we need that. Um, and we want to set that to FP enable, because if that's true, if the first person camera is true, FP enable will be true. So we want that to be true. Whereas in our third person, because that's not attached to the head, we don't need to do that. So yeah, we only want that to be the case if our first person camera is taking control. Does that make sense? Is that right? Okay, so use controller rotation your is true if the first person camera, and then this. Like I've done something in some first person stuff before, so I kind of remember using this, but it's been a while, been like a good few months since I've touched it all. So I'm just trying. Yeah, I think that should do it. Yeah, we want the controller to determine our rotational yaw. Yeah, so the controller will determine, which is our joystick in this case, to determine how we look. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So let's build. Stop and build. Okay, cool. Let's run that. And let's see if that will work. Fingers crossed. I hope it does. OP. We can move about. Yeah, we are. Oh. Oh, you know what? What have I done? I've broken the game. It's still doing it. So the controller, is it pitch? Oh, I'm such an idiot. I'm not pressing. Basically, the way I've got the control set up at the moment, you have to basically press a button, that trigger, to move the camera. I'm not doing that. Yeah, it works. It works perfectly fine. Yeah. So now, there we go. Yeah, that's perfect. That is perfectly fine. Yeah, that works just right. So now we're in first person. We're following the head. How we move. We can look left and right. So if I look down, what is this? Does not. This looks really messy. I don't like this. Hold on. Let's just stand still for a second. This is really annoying me. No, I don't like this. Hold on. I don't like this at all. I don't like that at all. It's giving me a headache. It's because of that. Oh. Give it that. I don't know. Let's see. Let's have a go. Do we even need that? Let's go to that. I was pressing the wrong button. I was pressing the wrong button. It's a rookie error, even though I've been doing this every day for the past few weeks. I should really realize that I'm pressing the wrong button. But when I was trying to control the camera, I was pressing the wrong button, so forgive me. Let's see. This is like 90% of it. Like, you code it, it's pretty simple, it's not very hard. But then debugging all the reason why it doesn't work nicely. Okay, so that doesn't work. So we do need that. Let's leave it without that. Okay. Okay. I've got faith. I feel like this is it. I feel like that is it. Oh, we've got some stuff set up with the animation, so that's why it freezes. Yeah. So it moves left to right. So we'd have to set it up for your picture rotation. But yeah, we can use the controller to... Ah. Ah. Why is it doing that? I don't like this. Why is it doing that? It's like I can't... Oh. If this camera component is placed on a pawn, should it use the view/control rotation of the pawn where possible, not of the mesh? Yes. That is the problem we were having. We want to use the view and rotation of the pawn, not of the mesh, and that's why the head is going all crazy. It's attached to it, which we want it to be, but we don't want to use the mesh's view. We want to use the pawn, which is this capsule here. Ah, see? That's more. Now we test it. Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah. So much better. Oh, hello. There we go. Okay, see? That's all working now. Perfect. We can look down, you can look up, we can look left, right, around. You see his hat. You see his body. He's walking about. Yeah, sweet. Awesome. So yeah, that's it. Do I need this rotation? What is this do? This is gonna, yeah, we want to use the controller. Yeah. We need this because the pawn is the up down. Yeah, that's fine. Because I think we need at least one of these set to yeah. We want to have that. Because we want to use the controller rotation yaw. Now, do we need that? I don't think we need that. Let's just see. Let's just debug it right now. Let's have a look here. Oh yeah, see that's why. That's why we need it. I knew it because we need the camera to control how. Okay, yeah. So we need the camera to control. We've got some stuff. That's the animations are freezing because we're doing some pose matching research and we're working on some stuff that's actually quite cool. But yeah, ignore all that. But the reason why is because if you see, I turn the camera here, and it doesn't turn the character because the character is working off the left joystick. So the control for the the control for the character is based off the movement input trajectory, and that's just relative to where I'm going straight on. Whereas I need to get the yaw to determine which way I'm turning, because in third person it's fine because what the I've broken the game. Okay, there you go. Yeah, okay, yeah. So in third person is fine because we look around and then we run straight based on how we're looking. But in first person, yeah. But in first person, we the way we look determines where we should run. So that's why we need it. Okay, that's it. That's the last bit. So we do need this. There we go. That's all we need. Cool. Build. And that's it. That should work perfectly fine. And that is that. All done. And all finished up. So run this again. Third person. First person. And now if we look down at the player, we should, yeah, do you see how his body turns? So if we walk, the camera now turns, yeah, because now the yaw, which is left to right, controls the rotation of the pawn. Ah, see, the pawn doesn't want to move up and down, so we don't care about that. The pawn doesn't want to roll, so we don't care about that. But the pawn is going to move left to right. We want the yaw to be the reason why we control it. So yeah, that's correct. Awesome. Dash for you. Yeah, sweet. And that's that. So yeah, that's a pretty much breakdown of it. Basically, we made an FP toggle, toggles between the first person. We did a flip flop to switch between the two. Made some with an input action based on the controller button press. What else do we do? Yeah, we made some component casts, so connecting some blueprint components to C++, which is, if anybody coding, is quite a useful thing to be able to do. So this is how you do it. Worked in headers, create some, yeah. Nothing very hard. This was actually pretty easy to do. Probably took me a lot longer because I was trying to think through everything and explain it, and yeah, just kind of go through it all for everyone. But yeah, so that is the breakdown of all that. That was just a bit of an insight into one of the features we're doing, one of the features I've had to do. Yeah, not very hard, not very difficult, but yeah, sweet. Cheers, guys. Yeah, stay tuned. Some cool stuff coming through, and I'm hoping to do some more stuff like this again. Some more dev stuff, and just keep you guys up to date and what it's like for me as a junior programmer, because I'm kind of new to all this like real life stuff. So, because I'm just coming out of uni, but yeah, sweet. So I'll catch you guys. How are you supposed to end this stuff? This is weird. Okay, sweet. Peace. How do I end the? Yeah.